Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing the installation from last week's episode, and the only thing we have left to do is take the wheel off and install the rotor guards. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Here is how it looks like without all those zip ties attached to it. They're looking good. The guards right here. I don't know if you guys can see it because the background is super bright. Looking good. Ready for the rotor guard. First, we are going to remove the axle bolt, loosen the axle bolt anyway, loosen it with a 17mm socket. Next, we are loosening up the pinch bolts, which is a 10mm socket.
You do them just a little bit at a time.
Remember that you have to do them simultaneously. Moving on to the right side of the bike. You can, as you notice here, you can use a Torx if you want to. So that's up to you guys. Just in case it wasn't clear, you have to, after you loosen the axle, you have to start with this pinch bolt, which is the left side of the bike, before you do the right side. Okay, so just setting that aside. And we are gonna have to pound that out. Yeah, get an extension. Oh, there you go. Yeah, try it.
Just something I found.
There you go. You can also use an extension for your socket wrenches to do the job. Like that. Yeah, use an extension for the, like a socket wrench extension, and just use a mallet to push the rest of the axle out. We just had to raise the, so we had to raise the jack up after we broke the axle loose, because you can't, it's harder to break the axle if the bike is already lifted off the ground. That's it. The wheel should come off easily. We need to remove this bushing right here, but in order to do that, we're putting the extension through here. Use the extension to push the bushing out. When we're gonna use the new bushing that they recommend, which is this one.
This goes in there.
Yeah, so it would just go in, but you need to put grease on it too. Just put a little bit of grease onto the new bearing.
So then we'll take the guard here. We'll match it up with these three. Looks like it's a number 3 hex. One last one. We'll just get all 3 of them snugged up to medium snugness.
So we just need to put the wheel back on and we're good to go.
Then we'll just put the wheel back in.
Just align it first. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little tricky with that guard. Let me show you guys from this angle. It's in.
I guess, does that always just rotate? It must, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then we need the axle.
I don't know if it matters for alignment, but you should have the forks straight when you're putting everything in. Otherwise, you're gonna have a crooked alignment.
It's interesting the way the service manual directs us to do this.
Is it similar to the BMW?
Similar but different, I guess. So what it says is install the axle completely, like this.
Just cap the axle. Yep.
So according to the owner's manual, you actually do, or the service manual rather, you actually do torque this all the way back down to 25.8 foot-pounds. And then you take the bike off the stand, pump it a few times, and then just tighten these bolts down.
Okay.
So slightly different than the way.
Okay, as long as the alignment's straight,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's always tricky with the front wheel reinstallation. What's the torque spec again?
It is 25.8 foot-pounds.
For the axle bolt.
But see, here's what's weird, guys. So on the BMW, they have you tighten down the captive side so that the axle can't spin while you're torquing it. It does not say that at all in the service manual, but as I'm trying to torque this axle here, I'm watching the other side spin.
Of course it will. That's why I think I would feel comfortable following the logic of the BMW service manual because it makes sense. This one doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tighten the captive side. What's the torque spec on that one?
15 Newton meters, I believe, but I'll have to double check. The dealer guy for BMW told me you can just do it snug though, because you have to re-brake it again.
Yeah, afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just do it snug so that you can at least torque down the axle bolt.
There we go.
All right.
And then we'll brake these again.
Then we'll have to pump the bike to make sure that the alignment is good. Next step before we tighten everything is to pump the handlebars to make sure that our alignment is secure.
All right, so 11.1 foot-pounds.
You have to simultaneously tighten it, just like the other side. We tighten the captive side first, which is the right side, and the last one to be tightened is the left side.
Have to use a extension to stay clear of the carbon fiber here.
Let's do it 3 times for good measure, just like
Just
the
like
BMW.
the yeah.
Yeah, like the BMW.
There we go.
Okay.
Everything's all torqued down.
Okay,
And
I think now it's time to test ride it.
Seems to be riding pretty well. I wouldn't have expected any of the guards to have made a difference in the handling characteristics of the bike, so that's good that it tracks straight and true and feels pretty good. Looks like we got that wheel on there really nicely. That's a refreshing change of pace from the BMW. Oh yeah, perfectly straight.
After the test ride, everything looked okay except for this area here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like the carbon fiber melted. I think what happened was we did not notice that this area here is touching right at the pipe. And what they said in the instructions is that you have to be careful to make sure that the pipe, the header pipe and the actual guard do not touch each other. But that's really a very tricky situation because there's no connector right at that bend. The connector is right here on the straight and right there on the bottom. So I don't know how we're gonna try to remedy this error right here.
it's burned to the pipe. I can hear it crunching. The thing that annoys me is where this burned is it's almost smack dab in the middle between these two, but it's still very close to the protectors. So where these hose clamps go, there's a little metal standoff on the back, like a piece of
Bracket.
a bracket that holds that the hose pipe goes in between, but that bracket also serves to keep the carbon
Separated.
fiber off, but it's almost like they designed this curve too tight and they didn't put one here where they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Because we were very careful not to over tighten this to position it perfectly. One twist and this was rattling, and then adjusting this one won't make a bit of difference for right there.
And unfortunately, Kyle doesn't know how to weld carbon fiber. Otherwise, I was just gonna say weld a bracket right here.
I've never done that before.
Yeah, that's...
I would just take ultra high temperature epoxy and put a bracket on, but I don't think you can. The way this curve is designed, I guess my first step is I'll call the manufacturer and explain what happened. Because look how close this is. This is what really bothers me. This is the standoff right here. This is barely tight. For it to have happened right here, that just tells me that the design is improper. That they swooped this corner too tightly rather than coming out a little.
We're gonna try to take the guards off while the header is hot, because I'm afraid once the header cools down that it's just gonna be permanently stuck to the guard. The guard and the header would be stuck to each other.
So we just took this off, and again, defective design. They swooped this back too far, and look at, I mean, that's a combination of Revit pant and right there, if you can see that, the carbon fiber. But again, it's just their swoops are too sharp. Wow, that is really a nice conglomeration of Revit pant and carbon fiber, but I don't think there's any salvaging this design. It's just not molded appropriately.
I still think it's better to write them a letter, only because they're selling this product thinking that it works, and it's not cheap, and other people are paying this money and then it's not working out properly. So even if they don't send us a new one, it would be nice for them to know that they should revise the design or something. So we're just gonna remove it completely for now. Otherwise, everything else seems okay, because it was only the high temp area that got damaged. Like, these don't really have anything on them, you know. This one worked well. It's funny because my one concern was this thing. I thought, oh, it's moving and all this stuff, that it's probably gonna crack or something, but it looks like it's okay. It looks fine.
And I do like their design of this one. I think a big missed opportunity for them on this is they didn't do the same design that Pam's 750 bash plate does, which is number one, it goes back a little further, but also it comes up and it protects the headers all as part of one bash plate.
Yeah.
I really would have liked to have seen them do that design rather than, they seem to be really hyper focused on getting these swoopy design elements in there rather than doing what they need to do, which is provide big protection. I still like the design because you don't have to beat on it like the OEM one to get it on and off, so that's nice.
Yeah, everything else seems okay.
So we finally got it off, and burnt spot, big burnt spot that you saw, burnt spot. So again, following the manufacturer's installation instructions, we ended up with one roasty toasty piece of carbon fiber that's melting everywhere. So I don't think there's any way of redeeming this particular iteration of this design. That is unfortunate. Well, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 7 worked pretty good, or 7 out of 8, one of the two. The exhaust, as you saw, did not work. I gotta say, it's kind of soured my view of carbon fiber a little bit. Had it been a metal exhaust guard, it just would have gotten too hot, and we could have done something to fix it. But with it being carbon fiber, it's now roasted and melted. So
I think the solution we can do right now is, instead of using that, is just put a header wrap.
I mean, honestly, everything else looks great. I think I did go a little overboard with some of the protectors. They're more stylish than they are protection, but the bash plate I really like. You don't have to really wall up on it like you do on the OEM one to get it on and off. honestly, the swing arm ones, I'm okay with that too. They already have a few rock chips on them, and this front brake one's pretty cool too, I gotta say. A little odd that it moves around the way it does. I'm imagining that's probably to accommodate suspension travel, but overall, I really liked them. Just really super disappointed that the one kind of critical part we needed, which was the exhaust guards, not working. But
that's the only reason why we ended up buying the guards to begin with, was because we needed the exhaust guard because it keeps burning our pants. But looks like it didn't work out. Anyways, at least you guys also find that out before you spend the money on it, right? If you were thinking of putting guards on your bike with this brand. Also, I guess it's nice to know how to remove and reinstall the front wheel on this bike too. I think I'm just kind of PTSD with my my wheel installation, front wheel installation, so I have to be like really OCD about making sure that the alignment is correct when reinstalling the front wheel on a motorcycle. I hope you guys like this video, and I hope you find it interesting and helpful. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next video. If anything changes about our thoughts on this product and its durability and function, you guys will hear about it, so don't worry. And as always, ride safe, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.